Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the episode 22 of Creating a New World. I'm your host, Bill Hunsaker, and I'm happy to introduce our panel. We have a full panel this time. We'll start with Harry Johnson. Welcome to the show, Harry.
Harry Johnson, Harry Dolgen. Hello, Bill.
I'm having a great time. I'm having a great time. Okay. Thank you, Harry. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And I'd like to welcome Larry Johnson to the show. Welcome, Larry.
Welcome, Bill, and good morning, everybody.
I also would like to welcome Bob McCaffrey. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Bill. Good morning, everyone, and welcome.
And I'd also like to welcome Sage Katakura. Welcome, Sage.
Hey, guys. Thank you for having me, Bill. Nice to be here.
And this show is about the 12 Visions world, a world of wealth, health, peace, love, and freedom that we can all create together. And in the first part of the show, we talk about, a certain aspect of society and how it will appear in the show. But before we get into that, we always like to read the 12 visions that describe the 12 Visions world. Anyone want to go ahead and do that?
Yeah, I could do that.
Okay, go right ahead, Larry.
Put my second set of eyes on. Oh man, I thought I had it in front of me, Bill.
Not a problem. If no one else has it, I'll just reach behind me and grab my 12 Visions book.
I have it here, guys.
Okay, go right ahead, Sage.
Sure. Vision 1, become the person you were meant to be. Vision 2, live the life you were meant to live. Vision 3, feel extraordinary every day. Vision 4, slow down aging permanently. And then Vision 5, land the job of your dreams. Vision 6, build the business of your passions. Vision 7, experience the love of your life. Vision 8, have the body you always envied. Vision 9, become a genius of society. Vision 10, have everything you ever wanted via the free-to-soar geniuses and super technologies. Vision 11, ride a prosperity wave to riches via falling prices and soaring buying power. And Vision 12, enjoy nearly perfect health via soaring medical technologies and falling prices.
You know, that was great, Sage. I grabbed the Prime Law, thinking it was the 12.
I mix those two up sometimes.
Yeah.
They both describe something wonderful.
Right.
Yes, they do.
Yes. Okay. Since we had 9/11 yesterday, the commemoration, I guess you would call it, of 9/11 yesterday, I figured today on the show we could discuss basically foreign relations and its effect on and how such things will be completely different in the 12 Visions world. Unfortunately, our political leaders have decided for a long time that the United States should be the police of the world, should basically, and they defend it by saying it's for our national defense, for security of our country, but unfortunately, the decisions they've made and what they've decided to do has created a lot of animosity toward the United States. And since we live here, we unfortunately have to live with the consequences of that animosity, and that was very, very prominent on 9/11/2001 when a group of people decided that they needed to get the world's attention by destroying what could be called an economic center, but may have represented, everything that's evil in America, but also, because honestly, even though we don't like to talk about it. The reason that they attacked us was not to attack our freedom, but because they were angry because we've been attacking people all over the world in the name of national security, and we're still doing it today. This is I don't in any way condone their actions, but I understand why they felt they needed to do what they did. If another country was coming to our country and bombing randomly and overthrowing our government and everything, I think we'd be pretty upset too, honestly. And this comes down to the whole idea of countries and patriotism and what it really is. And in the 12 Visions world, there won't be any countries. There won't be any there won't be any reason for people, for it to be us and them. It'll just all be us. It'll just be individuals all cooperating and working together to make the world better. And that's the world I want. I don't want this world where our leaders are. I don't want leaders, to be honest, but where the leaders are making decisions that put us all in danger.
Yeah, right. And the individual freedom, when people are protected by that, and you have a strong, the 12 Visions world has just the objective law that runs through it, all coming back to the prime law, removing initiatory force. That could scare some people, I know, when I say that. No nations and we're all one, but it's completely bound by the the prime law, which just removes initiatory force from the game. And when you do that, it answers for it just establishes peace and fairness among everybody. But you're all individuals dealing with each other on, like you said, Bill, cooperating with each other. And if you don't, there is a justice system to face if you overstep those boundaries and force somebody to do something. There'll be the repercussions, but that's it. And that's what's going to keep it in line with everybody, keep everybody allowed to just go on, in the pursuit of happiness, like the Founding Fathers wanted to. We're trying to create a system that just allowed them to do that. That's what the prime law will do in the 12 Visions world.
Yeah, looking at the whole question of protection, and you look at what really does that boil down to in the what we call the anti-civilization, which is against living, is that they create these situations where people go sacrificing their life for the protection of our country, but at the same time, they're not giving the whole truth about it. It's more under the guise of aggression around the world.
Right.
It's the aggression that is the problem, and that should not be connected to protection. You can protect in the world we're talking about living in. You can provide that protection because that's one of the cornerstones of the prime law of protection.
Mm-hmm.
And it also allow you to deal with those that are aggressively attacking you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, it's sad to me to see the people whose lives are being sacrificed at the expense of not giving the whole truth of what could be. Because this is one thing, is when the prime law of protection is in place, you can really see that people can protect themselves. They can live in a society that don't have no initiatory force, as so eloquently was laid out by Sage. So I think the question becomes, our sons and daughters who've sacrificed and not being totally true about the aggression that has to stop. The aggression internationally around the world under the guise of a half-truth that you need to protect. That's for our protection.
Mm-hmm.
That is where the crux of the matter lays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Guys, you know what occurs to me? What are the odds that two planes gets through our airspace and, one in Washington and one hits the towers? What's the odds of something like that happening? I mean, all circumstances had to be right for something like that to happen. And we're talking about terrorist organizations here too, 9/11, right? And obviously no rational government would condone what happened there. But it just boggles my mind that, that happened, and the way it happened, and we weren't alerted to it, and we couldn't stop it.
Yeah, well, what made that possible is the fact that it was commercial aircraft that normally fly throughout the United States anyway, and nobody was anticipating that a foreign country would take and kidnap those planes actually and use them as they did.
Yeah, really.
You're talking a total of 4 planes is what they got, and fortunately, unfortunately, 3 of them got to their targets, and fortunately, the 4th plane didn't get to its target, and the people on the plane became aware of what was going on, and they figured they were going to die anyway. So if they were going to die, they might as well prevent whatever they were planning to do with the plane.
Right.
And they were successful in doing that. And we had a number of heroes on that plane that people don't think about, but there would have been a lot more damage had they gotten through and been able to do what they wanted to do with that plane.
Yeah, well said.
I want to ask you a question. Does anybody, and maybe it's my own lack of information, but my question is, I have not seen no interview where somebody saw a plane coming into New York, this big plane coming into New York, and somebody looking up and said, "Oh my God, look at this plane." I've not heard one person say they saw a plane. I have a real problem with that. Maybe I missed it on the interview, okay? Because we live in a society of illusions, and I'm not trying to say that there wasn't no plane. I'm saying somebody there somebody had to see a plane. All I saw was from TV. I didn't say that they looked up and saw a huge plane. That's
I can't say that I physically saw it. I happened to be on the radio when that happened. I was at work, and I don't normally do this, but for some reason or other, something prompted me to turn on the radio. And I turned on the radio, and at that point, the first plane had already struck the first tower. And then they talked about the second plane, and I saw the second plane hitting the towers, and I saw pictures of that, the video of that, but I didn't actually see it as it was happening, so I couldn't say that I witnessed it happen.
Right. I'm saying that did you hear anybody saying they looked up and saw a plane? That's what I'm having. I don't remember hearing that.
By the time you look up, it's already hitting the tower. If you're there.
Yeah, they don't fly at 10 miles an hour. They fly at 300-400 miles an hour, and I mean, if you look at the video, the film of the planes hitting the building, it's like almost instantaneous. Even though you can see the plane went a couple hundred feet, it's really fast. A plane up at 30,000 feet looks like it's going really slow, but a plane 1,000 feet over your head is going to be and gone. You might hear a noise, and by the time you look up, it's gone.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in Manhattan, where you look up and there's buildings that go up and up and up on both sides of you. Right. And you have a limited view of the sky. You might hear a noise, but by the time you look up, it's not like you have a wide open sky to look at. So I can see where people would not have realized that there was a plane until it actually hit. And I'm pretty sure that those planes didn't drop down to low level and follow the terrain. They came down over the city
Yeah.
and then lined up with the towers and hit them.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And at that time, we didn't have the no-fly zone over Manhattan. I mean, you could fly.
I just have some reservations.
I certainly understandable. What I don't like is people that assert things and then never back them up, such as this whole thing about, steel doesn't melt at a certain temperature. The steel didn't have to melt. It just had to become weak enough for the weight of the 10 or 15 floors above
to collapse down on it.
For it to collapse. And then once that weight hit, each floor that weight was hitting, and that's why it collapsed the way it did. I mean, this is the first time buildings that tall have ever collapsed. You've never seen how that happens before, so nobody can claim that this is different from the way a building would naturally collapse, because it's the first time it's ever happened.
Yeah.
So that means that there is nothing that, from what I hear, is nothing for the wreckage or the wing or the engine or nothing. All that just melted away.
Well, it did.
Nothing.
You got to consider an impact at hundreds of miles an hour is going to create energy in addition to the energy of the fuel blowing up. And this will basically, an aircraft is made of mostly aluminum, not steel or, other dense metals, but aluminum. And it's just going to disintegrate when you have that kind of an impact. And then you have a fire that burns for hours, because the buildings didn't fall down immediately.
No.
But I don't think this is the proper forum for a discussion of, the particular details of what happened.
Yeah.
I think we should be more discussing, why, the reasons it happened, the reasons that our leaders are not, are pretending didn't happen, that are creating illusions that they attacked us because they don't, just because they kind of don't like us and the way we live. No, they attacked us because we attacked them first. That's the reality.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, I think all of it is an illusion to some extent.
And either way, depending on if there's the conspiracy, or it's not exactly as meets the eye, it still is without initiatory force, that group of parasites that a lot of the conspiracy theorists think the elite class that's behind this, creating this illusion, they still are in power only because they get this unearned wealth. And that comes from forced back taxes, which in the 12 Visions world you wouldn't have. So that would cancel that out of the game. And then if it did happen for the terrorists, then you still have a protection-only government, which is all focused, all those public good things are focused on protection. That wouldn't have happened where, like you said, Harry, they didn't, how did they not know about this? And that's a good point, I think. But if you have just all your resources, all the tax money that we all contribute every year, unending, focused as a business where it's on a voluntary thing. It's not just free-flowing to them either. It's based on results.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have you can imagine from all the services and businesses that have sprung up with awesome services, and I'm amazed. My cell phone's pretty reliable, and it works like a Swiss clock because it's a business. They have to keep earning, You'd have that with protection, and then it would be like Mark Hamilton writes about, which is completely logical. It's preemptive or proactive protection, so you have it before the event happens, not like this police now where if you see a mugging or hear something bad, they're rushing to the scene afterward.
Right.
So it's really cool.
Yeah, also the question of why didn't they see what was happening, because, after the fact, they came up with all this information. The people that piloted the planes were going to these flying schools and, with fake IDs and all this stuff. It came out almost immediately that the several agencies of our government that are there to protect us were competing. They weren't cooperating. They weren't sharing information. So everybody had a piece of the puzzle, but nobody had the whole picture because they weren't sharing information. And that's, and that showed the weakness in our system, and as far as I know, it's still the same way. I'm concerned every day because that event showed how incompetent our government is at protecting us.
Well, I think that there was somebody looking at the complete puzzle, and that they knew that they didn't share that information with everybody else, as you just said, Bill.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think anybody had the complete puzzle. I think one agency had part of it, another agency had part of it, another agency had part of it, and they weren't sharing. The FBI, the NSA, whoever else. Yeah,
I'm just saying that that's true, but I'm saying somebody had a complete puzzle. Is what the point I'm making. Okay,
we don't know that.
I'm just giving my opinion.
Sure.
Okay, I'm just saying that. Right, I agree. They wasn't sharing that information.
Yeah, well, the person that planned that whole event, I'm sure that person had the complete puzzle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
somebody knew.
Yes.
That didn't happen because of osmosis.
True.
That was planned and carried out, and there was information not shared among other people, which made it successful.
Well, if you go back to the events of the Second World War and Pearl Harbor, they knew in advance that planes were going to attack Pearl Harbor. They knew they were coming, and there were reports about it, and nobody reacted on it. Nobody did anything about it.
They didn't share the information.
That's possible. Well, supposedly they did share it, and it was just ignored. It was something that was considered to be impossible, I guess.
It could be laziness,
Yeah.
Mysticism.
The unfortunate fact is there have been so many illusions created surrounding both 9/11 and World War II that we may never be able to get at what really happened, who was involved, who did what, who knew what. We'll never know.
True.
And it doesn't really matter.
The
It doesn't.
is protection. I think that is what has to really, because one thing that from 9/11 that I came up with is that if you look at 9/11, if you wasn't high, drunk, or on drugs that day, and if you say to anybody right now, what was you doing on 9/11? I think everybody on this panel can say what they was doing that day when 9/11 happened.
Yep.
Yeah, just like people who were alive can say what they were doing the day that John F. Kennedy was killed.
Exactly. But
because it's a memorable event.
But the point is this, to me, is more memorable. What it is a uniting of the consciousness for that moment in time. That consciousness of all the people was focused, okay, on a tragedy that should have never happened but did happen, okay, because that's a uniting of a consciousness. I mean, it's the same consciousness when they had the uniting of the consciousness against Nazism. Where all people was focused on that is not what the world wanted. When everybody in America looked up and saw what had happened in New York, which is one of the most advanced cities in the world, people all around the world was focused on that because that was not what the people of the world wanted.
Well, and I guess what also brought a lot of attention to that and the focus on it was the media. During this event, we had media coverage like we never had before in the history of the world. And it was everywhere. And in every channel you turned to, no matter where you turned, there was something about the attack on New York City. So the media brought the attention to it, and that's why we had so many people focused on it.
Yeah, it's a passionate subject. We can talk about it and keep talking about it for hours and days. We're not going to really solve anything. We just need a better way of protection, and the 12 Visions world will bring that.
Yes, and also right now the reality is that a majority of people believe or at least accept the idea that initiatory force is, that people need to be controlled, and that, people need to use initiatory force to control them. And we're in the minority right now. Although we're trying to share this message that without initiatory force, everybody can live a free and safe life, and not worry about, something like 9/11 happening,
Yeah.
I think their focus is in the wrong area too, because the government is looking at focusing on how to stop these planes when something like that is happening, and what are they going to do about shooting them down, and instead of taking a look at how to find out what's going on ahead of time and prevent it from
Having
even
a plan.
starting,
Yeah,
uh,
I agree.
Imagine having
they should change that focus a little bit.
Imagine having the super technologies too, where you could that company, that protection-only government, could use an anti-gravity device and have that plane flying and just either stop it midair or in some way, without killing the people in the plane.
Yeah.
But
and
technology is just that gives us so many other options to work with.
that's a good point, Sage, because I always think about that in terms of the technology that will not allow it become so integrated with human beings that it becomes the highest protection in the universe. The technology will not let soul perish,
Right.
and by using technology becoming well integrated to the point where it's unheard of to get killed in a car crash
Yeah.
because of anti-gravity, or it's
Yeah.
unheard of a plane
plane
flying
crash.
into a
Right.
mountain.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about that a lot.
Yeah.
If you look at Star Trek, some of that technology is already being thought about.
Mm-hmm.
When you take the example of Scotty beam me up or Scotty beam me down, if we could do something like that and just take all those people off the plane and let the plane go into the water.
Yeah.
That's the child of the past talking.
And those ideas are in their infancy right now.
Oh, sure.
They're doing experiments with atoms and with light that are along those lines.
Right. And they're for real experiments and technologies. That's what it's so cool. I love the 12 Visions Party. I love the Prime Law, because it logically opens the door to all that without, in the very shortest distance possible.
And in the 12 Visions world, all technology will be focused, as Larry said, on protecting individuals, protecting people, protecting your life, because it's the only life we have. Once your body is destroyed, right now we don't have the technology to preserve your mind, your, you.
I-ness. Yeah.
Yes. So that'll right now, very little of technology is focused on that, partially because of the illusion that there is an afterlife, and partially for other reasons. That somehow our minds exist separate from our bodies, and other than people asserting that, I have seen no evidence that that is the case. All I see is people die and they're gone, and they're just gone, and there's no way to contact them other than, there's no way at all. The only way we've seen is people creating illusions and faking that kind of contact and lying to people.
Right, and that's what we are confronted with.
Mm-hmm.
But I think once people, the opposite of we're talking about freedom, and when we talk about a protection-only government and people having true freedom under that, the problem is breaking through with people have been conditioned to believe that you need that for your own protection, that if it wasn't for that, you would have chaos.
Exactly.
And that is the chain that has to be broken. Is that chain that has everybody under that illusion that if you don't have this ruling class on your back, then everybody be running around like going crazy, decide to be out of control, and that's not the case. If you could look across this country and all the things that you get highlighted as like ills of the society, but then you look at the majority of people. Majority of people are peace, loving, working people going to work every day. That's the majority. They're not the minority. That little minority out there, they make it appear as they're the majority, and they're not.
And that's part of the illusion. You get isolated incidents, individuals who, for whatever reason, do something bad, something horrible, and then the illusion is created that this happens all the time, whereas it doesn't.
Exactly.
And therefore, we have to control people to prevent them from doing things like this, whereas the majority of people don't do things like that.
Exactly.
You look at the numbers, and that happens a certain amount of times. Look at the numbers of other peoples that did make the news because they were doing something valuable, just creating value. It's astronomical.
What about a TV program, Sage, where you did, all day long you saw nothing but people creating value?
That's a great business idea right there.
Man, could you imagine that?
Call it the news.
First of all, you wouldn't have enough channels to cover.
Yeah, you need channels for every kind of. You need the channel for every person, that was creating things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not the knuckleheads who are trying to destroy another person or another person's property or fraud. But no, showing people being creative every day in their life, from little kids to grown-ups to businessmen to artists, people that are just using and creating things in the world. Wow, that would be such a wonderful program.
Yeah, that would be real reality TV instead of the fake reality TV.
Yes.
Pseudo reality. Yeah, I know.
Yep. So thank you, everyone. I think we're going to move on, and it's been a wonderful discussion, but it's run a little long. So this week, I think we're going to skip Where's the Force and move on to the next segment. We'll definitely bring back Where's the Force next time. I'll be a little more have a little better control over the time of the program. But I thought this discussion was going really well and very important items that we discussed. So now we'll move on to the portion of the program where we discuss how we're going to create the 12 Visions world. And we are still working our way through the national platform of the 12 Visions Party. But I think this show and in future shows, I'm going to institute also, since we read the 12 Visions at the beginning of the first segment where we discuss, the 12 Visions world and what it's like, I think we should start reading the Prime Law at the beginning of this segment. Is everyone in agreement with that?
Yes.
Sounds good.
Okay. Who would like to do that this time?
I got it, Andy.
All right, go right ahead.
I'm sorry.
You gonna do it? Go.
Oh yeah. Okay. The Prime Law, the fundamental protection, preamble. The purpose of human life is to prosper and live happily. The function of government is to provide the conditions to let individuals fulfill that purpose. The Prime Law guarantees those conditions by forbidding the use of initiatory force, fraud, or coercion by any person or group against any individual, property, or contract. Article 1. No person, group of persons, or government shall initiate force, threat of force, or fraud against any individual, self, property, or contract. And Article 2. Force is morally and legally justified only for protection from those who violate Article 1. And Article 3. No exceptions shall exist for Articles 1 and 2. That is the Prime Law of protection. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Larry. And, basically, the way we will create the 12 Visions world is by first making that the prime law of the United States, and eventually making that the prime law of the entire world, which is basically, to me, it's the most open, inclusive, freeing law ever created.
Right.
Because it basically takes away the ability of anyone to coerce you, force you, steal from you, hurt you. You know, it makes all of that, you know, that all of that is against the prime law. And that, you know, that's how we're going to create the 12 Vision world, where the largest majority is the individual. Does that make sense?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right now the individual
Sign me
is
up.
the smallest minority, but in the 12 Visions world, the individual will be the largest majority. There'll be no group larger than the individual. There'll be groups for, you know, for cooperation purposes, but not for purposes of coercing or controlling other individuals.
So awesome. And the purpose of human life is to prosper and live happily. The government's only purpose is to allow that to happen, and to do that, stay out of the way by only by removing the use of initiatory force. That's it.
Exactly.
And that guarantees those conditions for people to flourish and pursue their happiness.
You know, the prime laws does not say that we guarantee everyone will prosper and live happily.
No.
It only says that that's your purpose. You accomplish your purpose yourself. No one gives you your purpose. You accomplish it yourself.
I think that gives you your rights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody's talking about rights all the time, and also the stimulating factor in the platform that we'll talk about right now. It all logically, perfectly from history, you can see great examples. There's so many good examples of that platform. When you remove that initiatory force or it's lessened, you're on your own, yes, but the group, the whole society benefits over and over and over, and it's an exponential growth over time.
Yes, everyone will benefit from the value creation of everyone else.
Yeah,
And
it's
that kind of means that people themselves personally are going to have to become self-leaders.
Yes.
Because in order for things to work and for things to happen, people are going to have to get involved. And without people getting involved, it won't happen.
Yes.
You know, because we're going to have people in organization or people set up to work and make agreements on how we're going to handle our highways, how we're going to handle different things that we have to handle that we're accustomed to. And that's going to take people getting involved.
And the bottom line with that is who's going to take better care of a road? The government or someone who owns it? You know, an individual who owns it and wants people to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Right now we're forced to use the road. You know, we're forced to use this road or that road because, you know, it's the only road they decided to make. I also see a future where we won't need roads.
Yeah.
Where we'll all have individual like quadcopters or something along those lines. I mean, I remember a science fiction story from the 40s or 50s where there were personal taxis that, you know, you just got in the taxi and it flew you where you wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
And automatically charged you for the trip, you know, because it was owned by someone else and they were providing a service.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, and I think, I'm sorry, Bill.
No, just to complete the thought, what we see in the anti-civilization is people keep saying they're providing free services, but really they're hiding the cost of the service.
Yeah.
But, you know, the thing is, one thing about the platform for the 12 Visions Party is that it talks about the falling prices, and, you know, it's so well integrated that when you look around in society, they keep trying to keep the prices up, but in order for them to stay in business, prices are falling. For every commodity that you could think of, and those business, in order to stay competitive, have to lower these prices for everything. You know, I see that they try to raise the prices, but in order to be competitive, the only way you can be competitive is by lowering the prices. You know, like you go in these places now, any stores for stuff being manufactured, it's such an abundance of stuff around, and they're saying, you know, we see every year that they say, oh, they got to move this because they got new stuff coming in.
Right.
Yeah.
New stuff.
Right.
Now, how do you move that? Well, you got to take the price and lower the price.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Exactly.
The other I'm sorry. Go ahead, Larry.
Now I'm gonna say whether it's cars, clothes, or food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
the other aspect of that is the mindset that, oh, you know, everyone tries to reduce costs of manufacturing, whatever you're manufacturing. But it's whether the mindset is, are you reducing the cost so you can lower the price, or are you reducing the cost so you can increase your profit? You know, and
Well,
to me,
if you lower the cost and you get a more market, you're increasing your profit.
exactly, you're selling more units.
You're selling more units.
As long as what you're receiving for what you're selling is greater than the cost to make it, then you're making a profit, and the more units you sell, the greater profit you're making. You don't have to increase the margin on each unit. You just have to increase the number of units you're selling.
Right. And the market is and you can't saturate the market around the world because there's so many people.
Yeah, there's 7 billion people.
Yeah. 7 billion.
Depending on what you're making, people may want more than one of them.
Yeah.
Exactly. And if it's something that where you have repeat business, you know, oh, you know, I'm just reading this thing I just saw about the and you know, we should do a thing and I know this is a little bit off, but I get a little excited about it. I went to this castle in Highland Park, and gave me this lawyer gave me a printout of the history of the Johnson & Johnson company, and this castle in Highland Park is beautiful. It was built in 1929, and you look at how they've expanded that, but it's so intriguing. I don't want to get into it, but it just to show you how people who have created business, Seward Johnson, who founded all of that, and look at what came out of it. But when you look at the history of it, it was a lot of intriguing stuff going on. And this place was built in 1926.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
with business. And it started with taking cotton and putting it on tape. And they started making the tape. You know, it's amazing.
It's
But we
awesome.
can talk about that another time. I just had to mention something I just came across.
Okay, thank you. That was very interesting, and I always like when we get into discussions that, you know, like this, where we talk about things that people might definitely want to hear. But we're going to go on to reading the national platform. We're going to the next section in the split run titled Freedom, which is on page 29 in my version of the platform. Who would like to go ahead and read that?
I don't mind reading.
I mean, if we want, since we have so many people, we could take a paragraph apiece.
Sure.
You know.
Okay. I'll start it off. Freedom. A fully free country has never existed before Hamilton, America. America came close with a nearly flawless U.S. Constitution. But the most fundamental law of protection from man, the prime law, was missed, which caused an opening in our original Constitution for a return of the rule of man. Eventually, the rule of man resurged and re-strengthened into a ruling class, a big government that today is racing into government interventionism, or in another word, socialism. With no prime law, man broke through the opening in our Constitution, and freedom leaked from our country to the point in America today in which force-back socialism and therefore poverty are taking over.
I'll read the second part.
Sure.
Next paragraph. In the beginning, the nearly flawless United States Constitution gave us the best rule of law in the world, and therefore unraveled prosperity took over. Without the prime law protection, from the rule of man, from a ruling class, our Constitution and our country became vulnerable. As freedom leaped out, so did our prosperity. And now, increasingly, under the rule of man, our loss of freedom is hemorrhaging, and so is our loss of prosperity. Freedom is replaced with socialism, prosperity is replaced with poverty.
Let me pick up.
Okay.
Hamilton, America, by contrast, is the first and only fully free country in the history of the world. Hamilton, America adds the prime law as an amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which immediately closes the opening and encircles the country with pure protection for man, including rule of man and ruling class. Hamilton, America, quickly fills with pure freedom and unprecedented prosperity. Hamilton, America has no ruling class, no rule of man, only the rule of flawless law, the prime law, the fundamental law of protection through which all law must pass. All agenda law that forces the rule of man on citizens will not pass.
Our sister America relinquishes her freedom to rule of man and his big government ruling class. She sinks into a catastrophic era of job losses, home losses, recession, depression. Hamilton, America, by contrast, soars into the great technological revolution as the geniuses of society are no longer held back or afraid to invest in their ideas. Hamilton, America quickly rises into the greatest prosperity ever seen as prices come down to fractions. Witnessed once before in the isolated personal computer industry. All the people in Hamilton, America grow rich as their standard of living, wealth, health, safety, entertainment, and happiness soar. They happily pay for the government of protection only, their service-based government, as opposed to the America's force-based government. Indeed, citizens of Hamilton, America, as they watch the Americas and the world around them fall into fear and desperation, gladly pay for a government that guarantees the condition that allow them to live in such a health, wealth, and peace.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the kind of world I want to live in. You know, where I'm not concerned about, you know, every time when I drive down the road, I might get pulled over, you know, and maybe I look like somebody, and suddenly I find myself in jail.
Oh, I know what you're bringing up.
Yeah, or possibly worse.
Yeah.
You know, depending on where you live, you know, you don't know what kind of policeman you're going to get. I would say a majority of policemen are decent, honest people, but unfortunately there's a minority who have unfortunately been more visible lately, who are less honest and, you know, treat you like a dangerous armed criminal before they know whether you are one or not, you know. And there's, you know, it's become a matter of, you know, where do you draw the line? But I don't want to get into a deep discussion of, you know, the state of police today and the anti-civilization. The main idea is that I want to live in a world where I, you know, where I don't have to make sure that, you know, I'm not breaking some law. Part of the problem in the anti-civilization is there are so many laws, you know, you can't know whether you're breaking a law, and that's a subtle way they you know, that the, you know, the elite, the leaders can control you because you're constantly going around, you know, I don't want to break the law, I don't want to put myself in a bind, and then you don't do things, you don't try to build a business because there's so many laws that make it difficult to build a business, for instance.
And
Bill, real fast, I'm sorry. To Bill's point, real quick, that there was somebody, the police knocked down one of these star tennis player, all right, because he looked like somebody else, and he threw him against the wall, pushed him down, put handcuffs on him.
Wow.
So that was racial profiling. So I just wanted to let you know that I think you were talking about. His name was James Blake. He's a top 50 tennis player.
What?
It was in the
Who
news.
was it? Who was it?
James Blake.
Oh,
He was a
wow.
top
Yeah.
50 tennis
Yeah.
player.
Yeah.
And the
He's a great
police
player.
just thought he looked like somebody else. They threw him down. They threw him against the wall. They put him down, put him in handcuffs.
Oh, that's terrible.
That just happened over this last week, the last few days.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Wow.
Okay, so you're right. You're right.
The people that are gonna, and they do it now, even in this force-backed environment, they take the lead business owners that don't care. They override their fear. They're self-leaders, the Steve Jobs of the world,
Yeah.
and they light the torch for all of us, really, because they spearhead it, and the force-backed illusions still in this world, they grab them down and they try to create that illusion of fear, and it's not only an illusion; it's real. They have that force there. But in
Yeah.
this world, you'd have those leaders in an instant. You could feel so much safer because you're seeing these leaders unhindered go forward, and they would be
Yeah,
giving
business
everybody
leaders.
confidence.
Yeah, business
Real
leaders.
business leaders, real business leaders in the market, in the real marketplace, providing values. You would feel so encouraged, and it would be a different atmosphere, a different energy completely when you see other people going forward, creating values, and you're using them. Like in this platform, he talks about the entertainment and all these great things that we're almost like taught not to like. It's a very limited supply in this force-backed world. But you're talking about change that completely into unlimited amounts of that, really. Of course, self-control is inherent, but with that just available and not any force, depending on what you choose to do, the atmosphere and the energy is going to be just unparalleled, and it's going to build off of itself,
You know,
Yeah,
like you were talking about.
yeah, I was going to say that I just saw this movie, and what made me think of it when the last part was being read about losing our prosperity and losing our freedom. And there's a movie showing how that has always happened in every civilization. There's a movie called The Land of the Blind. What a
Wow.
what a excellent movie to watch. You know, it shows you how you lose your you have, you know, a ruling class, and then you have, you know, those who wants to the people in the street wants to take over, and they under the guise of freedom, but it's really socialism, and it's as oppressive as oppressive as the ruling class. So I mean, you know,
Yeah.
it's a good movie to you know, you have to look at it with discernment when you watch it, but it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're running short of time, and I want to respect everyone's time, including people watching the show. So I want to go ahead and move on to the next part of the show, which we've kind of neglected in the past, which is how you can help create the 12 Visions world. And basically, we've talked a lot about the 12 Visions Party and the 12 Visions movement in past episodes, and the main idea is that the 12 Visions movement wants to bring about, you know, the 12 Visions world, wants to make the prime law an amendment to the Constitution, making it the prime law of America, and eventually an amendment to the Constitution of other countries, making it their prime law, so that eventually, you know, we'll have the prime law around the world, and we'll have the 12 Visions world around the world. So how you can help create this world is get involved in whatever way you're comfortable. Talk to people about the 12 Visions world. Tell them, you know, just spread the ideas. Let people know about it. Or you can get involved with the 12 Visions Party, which is basically organizing the 12 Visions movement. And the easiest way to do that is to go to tvpnc.org, and there's a place there where you can sign up to volunteer, and they'll put you in touch with your state's 12 Visions Party, or if if there isn't one, help you create one if that's what you want to do. And you can become involved in lots of ways. You can volunteer to help. You can volunteer to help organize how the 12 Visions Party is going to operate in your state, or you can contribute money to the 12 Visions Party in your state or the National 12 Visions Party. So whichever way you feel comfortable supporting, the creation of the 12 Visions world, feel free to do that. And that's the greatest way. The other way you can become involved is there's also the Neothink Society, which is helping people understand the ideas about the 12 Visions world, and also ideas about a way to do business that does not involve initiatory force, and helps you organize your own mind so that you can create your own business and do that efficiently, or basically achieve and prosper within the business or job that you're working in now. And does anyone have the phone number? The Neothinks,
They don't have member services anymore, Bill.
They don't? Okay,
they don't.
This is a change for me.
Yeah, it was just taken away, but I think, Bob, you might have a customer service number now.
Yeah.
That we got from.
I have it, but I don't have it handy.
Okay, we'll mention it in the next episode. That's
cool.
not a problem. But I guess you could.
Okay, Bill, I do have that. I just found
Okay,
it.
go right ahead.
Okay, it's Neothink Active Membership Customer Service. And the telephone number is 214-414-3571. I'll repeat that again. That's Neothink Active Membership Customer Service. And the telephone number is 214-414-3571.
Excellent. And as usual, as a business should, the Neothink Society is growing and evolving and improving all the time. So changes will happen. So that's how you can get involved in creating the 12 Visions world. You can learn about the 12 Visions world in the Neothink Society, or you can become involved with the 12 Visions Party and bring the prime law to be the prime law of the land for your country, whatever country you may live in.
Yeah.
Right.
And I want to go ahead and thank all of my panel members. Start with Sage this time. Thank you, Sage, for coming
Bill,
on the show.
thanks for having me. And I don't know if you mentioned to create a new world.blogspot.com.
Well,
Just
that's coming. That's the final section.
Okay, good.
Thank you very much for bringing that up, though.
Just in case. No, it's a pleasure.
So again, thank you for being on the show. Bob, thank you for coming on the show. I greatly appreciate what you've shared with us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bill, for having me, and to everyone out there, I wish you health, wealth, and happiness.
And Larry, thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it, and I always value your opinions. So thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you, Bill.
And finally, Harry Dolgen.
You got the name right, Bill.
Yes, I did this time. Thank
You
you
don't
very
want to
much.
be Johnson? Why not?
Thanks, Bill. I really enjoyed it. Thanks. It's fun being part of this panel with everybody, too.
Okay, so we're going to wrap it up here. If you have any questions, please send them to cnwshow@gmail.com. And you can watch previous episodes of Creating a New World at www.tocreateanewworld.blogspot.com. And that's www.tocreateanewworld.blogspot.com. And you can also support the show by telling your family and friends about it. And you can support the show by going to www.patreon.com/creatinganewworld and pledging $1 or more per episode. All opinions expressed on the show are the sole responsibility of the individual participants and do not represent the Neothink Society, the 12 Visions Party, or author Mark Hamilton. I wish everyone wealth, health, peace, love, and freedom.